Larry down at practice today, right? Are you there?
I think you guys may need couples counseling.
We do.
I mean,
we do.
It's really it's getting to that point.
No, I mean, look, it's
practice.
It's a true partnership when people think that you said something that you didn't say. That's the deal. You know that, Larry.
By the way, guys, if you get a chance, maybe you guys could ask Steve Kerr. There's no rules against playing Trace Jackson Davis, right? I mean, you could play him, right?
Yes, there are. He's a rookie. That's not allowed.
Come on, Larry.
Oh, okay, all right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right, so, hey, listen, what do you think? How's everybody feeling about Sam Darnold playing quarterback this weekend?
Well, I mean, it's I don't know that it's going to happen, but it looks like it's very, very possible. And I don't know how other people feel. How I feel is, suddenly the chances of the 49ers losing 3 games in a row going into the bye are becoming very, very real.
And that's based on your lack of faith in Sam Darnold? or do you think that this team is just heading in the wrong direction, period?
Well, they don't look good on defense, that's for sure. They're not rushing the pass. They don't get sacks. Their coverage is not good. Kyle admitted today that Wilkes messed up before the end of the second quarter with his all-out blitz. So I kind of wonder if there's some frosty feelings inside their coaching room. Then mix in the Niners off a short week, traveling back from Minnesota, while the Bengals are peaking and have had 13 days to prepare. And additionally, I don't think much of Sam Darnold. So yeah, you put it all together in a stew, and it looks like a 3-game losing streak. Not for sure, but we ought to just put our arms around it because it's possible.
Larry, let's explore. You're not a believer in Sam Darnold. Why? And beyond the obvious.
He's not good. I mean, and I think Brock Purdy is 13-2 essentially, completing 67% of his passes, 24 touchdowns, 7 picks. Sam Darnold is 13 games under 500, 21-34, with 55 career interceptions, 143 sacks, and he completes under 60% of his passes. There's a reason that they're starting Purdy and bringing Darnold off the bench. So they're not getting better at quarterback. They're getting worse.
And that's a bad thing to be looking at in terms of the most important position in football. But beyond that, Larry, how much is the Trent Williams injury and his uncertain status maybe a bigger factor in exactly what they're going to have to be facing against Cincinnati?
Well, Dibs, that's a great question. Jalen Moore, I think, was kind of a bright spot of this game as far as the way he stood up and really the way the offensive line stood up to Minnesota's exotic blitzes and Danielle Hunter. I mean, Hunter only had 1 sack. It wasn't like they lost that game because Danielle Hunter wrecked shop. And it wasn't like they lost that game because the moment was too big for Jalen Moore. But obviously, you'd love to have Trent back. I think they'll probably get him back for this game. But I'm not afraid to go with Jalen Moore. I think Jalen Moore is a proven entity. He's been in this system for a while. And I thought even on that fast carpet against maybe the NFL's preeminent edge rusher at times, I think he stood up.
Larry Krueger with us after being at practice today. Listen, Trent Williams, what do you think the chances are for him this weekend, and how much does that affect what we'll see from Sam Darnold?
I didn't get a chance to talk to him today, Mark, but I was standing next to him in the locker room, and I was watching him walk around. I mean, he looked like he was walking without a limp, without any pain. It's kind of amazing how fast these guys heal. I do expect he'll go. As far as what percentage is he, I mean, I really don't know. It was a lower ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. And these guys do, with the stim and all the different things that they can accelerate their rehabilitation on their injuries. They have an ability to improve their conditioning or improve the condition of their injury a lot faster because of what they have available to them. So it's anybody's guess. My guess is on a scale of 1 to 10, he's probably like a 7.5, and I think he'll go against the Bengals.
When we look at the defense, Larry, and I want to look beyond just the abysmal call, the ferocious call, 3rd and 6 at the end of the first half, but in general, what is wrong with this defense? Why have they been unable to consistently pressure the quarterback?
Well, they're getting pressure. They're just not getting home. They're not getting sacks. And unfortunately, a guy like Kirk Cousins is a guy that really, I think history shows that if you hit him, he starts to kind of come back to earth. They never really got those hits. That's one issue. The second issue is that I think they really lean on Warner and Greenlaw an awful lot to stop the run, and those guys are getting a little bit dinged up. So I think their run defense has been hurt because of it. And then on the back end, their coverage has been relatively soft. I mean, Isaiah Oliver has not impressed me. He's not nearly as good a cover guy as they had at the slot corner last year. And Mooney Ward got a little grabby. I mean, he got called for a couple penalties, but there were probably 3 or 4 that he lucked out on that he should have been called on and wasn't. So Lenore and Mooney, Ward, and Oliver are their top 3 guys. I don't know that they feel real confident when the guys behind those guys. But overall, there is no real magic answer to that. It's just that the coverage has not been good enough, and the run D has been a little fallible, and they're not getting home on the quarterback.
Larry, I want to go back to you saying that maybe there's a little something chilly between Kyle Shanahan and Steve Wilks. It's only been 7 games. What is your read on the fact that Kyle did choose to go public with his dislike for that call at the end of the first half?
Well, Mark, it's funny. Kyle is a self-admitted terrible liar, and when he was asked about it in the postgame, he paused and said, "We'll have a discussion." I mean, I knew right then and there that he didn't like the call. Heck, I knew before that point he didn't like the call because it was a ridiculous call. I mean, it's just risk-reward. To take that level of risk there was bad. And it was really a 2-pronged mistake. It was a bad call, and then Kyle used the word messed it up. He's like, yeah, Steve knows that he messed it up. So we didn't talk to Steve today. We'll talk to him tomorrow. And he's a very prideful guy. I'll be eager to see what kind of tone he strikes. But there was a second part of the whole thing, and that was that Mooney Ward played it horribly. I mean, you can't allow the touchdown there. Nobody cares about your interceptions. Knock the ball down. He prioritized getting the interception over bringing the man to the ground. He sold out for the interception. He missed it, and the guy went for 6. So it was a double mistake. It was Wilkes with the major mistake, but it was Mooney who didn't play it the right way.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. And now here's Dan Dibley with the next great question.
And Larry, I want to stay in that space because when everyone talks about zero coverage in an all-out blitz, in fact, they didn't really rush 7. They rushed 4, and they had 3 lingerers. Is that something that you'll ask Steve Wilks about tomorrow? Because of the 7 guys who were supposed to be pressuring the quarterback, only 4 of them actually engaged the offensive line.
Well, it's funny. I looked at that play a couple times, Dibs. The one that the question I would have is what exactly was Hufanga getting done as he looked like he was spying the quarterback? I mean, what's his purpose on that play? Are you worried about Cousins running with 16 seconds left from his own 40-yard line? So, it was a poor play. It was a poor decision because of the risk-reward factor. At that point, the worst thing that you want to give up is the field goal. And to give up 6 there was just a kick to the gut, and it probably cost him the game.
Larry Krueger at 49er practice, and the breaking news earlier today that Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol. And Larry, I know that you wouldn't necessarily go as far as it sounds like we are in assuming that Sam Darnold is going to play this weekend. But before we, mess around with any more of that, I just want to go to you with regard to the last 2 weeks. You and I have been big fans of this guy, you for longer than anyone. What do you see the last 2 weeks, and do any concerns pop up?
I'm not really concerned, to be completely honest. I mean, today kind of makes me wonder about how much of the errant throws, and I was talking to Eric Branch about it in the media room, how much of those errant throws, because wasn't it the next play after let's say you got concussed on the sneak, wasn't the next play an interception?
Well, the next play was another sneak. That was the third down.
I mean, after the second sneak.
Right, but it was the first sneak where he got hit in the head, and then there was another sneak. I'll look up if it was the very, very next play after that, but you might be right.
I mean, I guess I looked at the Cleveland game as, I watched that Cleveland game like 5 different times. I think Cleveland's really got a great defense. Now, they didn't look that great against Indianapolis this week, but in that game, I mean, you got Garrett playing out of his – Garrett's the defensive player of the year in the league.
Yeah. They've
got the best secondary going. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker, I thought was spectacular in that Niner game. So I give a lot of credit to Cleveland there, the wet conditions, the lack of Debo, CMC, and then still Brock had him in position for the win if your rookie kicker makes a makeable field goal. So that one, you know what, I think that I didn't see a lot of negativity in that one. This game, I mean, Brock Purdy had completed almost 85% of his passes through 3 quarters. So, I mean, I felt like he just, if you watch just the first 3 quarters of the game, I mean, it was almost embarrassing listening to Troy Aikman drool, all over Brock Purdy. Like, it was like, oh my God, it's like he was watching Joe Montana or something. He was so impressed by Brock Purdy. But, I mean, you know what? Those last 2 throws were horrible throws. And to me, I know people say, Greg Cosell said that the coverage pushed Jennings wide and that he thought that was the reason. I don't know, because Kyle kind of contradicted that today when he was asked about it. I actually think the worst one was the one to Ray. Why? Because you had 30 seconds left. He seemed to have an open running lane to his right. And to me, it seems like they didn't need to be in that level of desperation mode on that play. But overall, if you just grade out Purdy throughout that game, you'd have to say that he was spectacular through 3 quarters and just, through 2 very bad interceptions. He's got to own them and did. But and to me, the second one was worse than the first one because I didn't think he needed to make that throw. He was rolling to his right. He was throwing back across into a crowd. To me, it seemed like that's the kind of play you make on the final play of the game, or you got to have it on a 4th down. He had a run lane there and plenty of time, so I thought he kind of forced the last play, to be honest.
Just to let you guys know, there in the 4th quarter, there was the 3rd and 1 sneak where we fear he may have been concussed. Then he goes on a 4th and 1 sneak. That gets a 1st down, and yes, very next play is the interception.
So doesn't it make you kind of wonder, like,
sure?
I mean, and Brock, I'm not making excuses, and he and Brock never would, and Kyle never would either. But it does make you wonder. Kyle did say that Brock didn't really say anything about anything, but started feeling concussion symptoms on the flight home.
Right.
So, and he's somewhat of a gamer. Who knows? Maybe in the moment with the adrenaline, maybe he was gutting it out. Maybe he wasn't seeing clearly. I don't know. That's hard to speculate on.
Yeah, no excuses, like you said. I mean, he didn't make them. Kyle's not making them, so I'm not going to make them for them. He threw 2 picks, and that's the way that went. You were mentioning that Cincinnati is peaking, Larry. What about the Bengals has you most concerned from a Niner standpoint?
Well, just the fact that Jamar Chase has already kind of had his get me the damn ball. And, I just think that they've got weapons. They've got a number of receivers there, Higgins and Boyd. And sometimes Chase, I think, gets lost in the mix. And he's already kind of stated, hey, man, I'm the guy. Don't forget about me. And, since that point, he's looked really, really good. And I just don't know that the Niners have a corner that can match him. And then you got Burrow playing well. You got a Bengals team that didn't start well, but is now starting to feel good about themselves. And whatever wounds and injuries and fatigue they may have had, I mean, they're going to roll in like a house on fire. And then I also have, as somebody who's done, the quality control job, I mean, the preparation time is a massive deal. When you have 1 day advantage, it's huge. They're going to have 13 days. The Niners are traveling off a short week and kind of limping into their bye. I mean, I'm very eager to see what the preparation advantage looks like when that game starts Sunday.
All right, my man. Great stuff. Great to have a presence down there at practice today. So thank you for checking in.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right, there goes Larry Krueger after being at practice today.